All right, so I was thinking this morning, are we in a world right now in New York sports where the Knicks and the Jets, two teams that have not celebrated a championship since way before I was born, that they are closer to a title in their respective sports than the Mets and Yankees are?
I don't think so. I still think the Mets and Yankees are. I think the Jets, on paper, the Jets should be. So if you look at all these teams right now, I think the Jets on paper with Aaron Rodgers should be. I just want to see it first, though. Yeah. Only from the standpoint of we've seen many times before that what's supposed to happen never does. I would say on paper, the Jets are probably one. I would put the Yankees and Mets in either order, doesn't matter, as 2-3, because while the Yankee team top to bottom I think is better than the Mets, I think the Mets pitching is better. And when you see Verlander throw the way he threw Sunday night, which is what you've been waiting to see, all of a sudden it kind of re-energizes you in terms of what that can be and what you're going to watch the rest of the summer. And I think Scherzer too was good Sunday. It's funny, a lot of the highlight videos when you watch, because clearly I was on the field, I didn't see that game. I got home just in time for the Sunday night game, but very few of the highlight packages even mention Max Scherzer, other than Max Scherzer making the start Sunday afternoon. The game wasn't about him; it was about everything else. But I think you saw what you want to see from them, and hopefully, it's a glimpse of what's to come. The Knick one is interesting from this standpoint. Watching the Nuggets last night, and I did see most of the second half of that game. Watching the Nuggets last night, watching what the Heat are doing. They are dispelling this myth of you have to have three superstars on a team to win. And it really is about the collective group, the chemistry, the culture. And I think the Knicks have a chance to build upon what they've done the last couple of years and be there.
See, I do think that the Jets and the Knicks are closer to a championship than the Mets and Yankees, because what do we talk about with the Jets? They were a quarterback away from really being right there. And I do think that the Jets are good enough to, at the very least, get to an AFC championship game and then see what happens from there. You're one game away from the Super Bowl. So I do think that they are very, very close, because I think the Aaron Rodgers thing is going to work out. And the Knicks, the way that the playoffs have worked out, I mean, the Knicks have had a better postseason more recently than the Mets and the Yankees, talking about how they finished last year. Now, I know that the Yankees got to an ALCS, but they were non-competitive in that ALCS. They got swept. They were nowhere near close to it, and they barely squeaked by the Guardians in the division series. So that, to me, is not really all that close to being at the World Series, where here you have the Knicks, who gave the biggest challenge to the team in the East that's most likely going to the NBA Finals, unless Boston somehow forces a Game 7. But if they don't, the Knicks would have taken the Heat to 6, where you had the Bucks who only took them to 5, and then we'll see. It might be a sweep or 5 with the Boston Celtics. So you're essentially the second best team in the East. So I don't think that and we talk about superstars and adding a superstar and adding a superstar. I don't know if it has to be a superstar. They need a guy who can shoot consistently, who's going to be in the starting lineup from 3. I mean, that's the biggest thing. So as the Jets were one player away, I think they got that player. I think the Knicks are very close and a player away. And when I look at the baseball teams, I just have this terrible taste in my mouth from what the Mets did last year in the postseason. And I don't think they're much better this year, if at all. And the Yankees, how many times do we have to see them get beat by a better team in the playoffs to realize that you can't assume that they're going to go to the World Series?
I guess with the Yankees, the thing that I always come back to are weeks like Aaron Judge just had. And if Aaron Judge is swinging the bat the way he is, they're a different team.
But now, he never does in the playoffs.
I understand. But even A-Rod had his 2009.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, things click, and not everybody's in a collective funk. And, the reason why we think they've got a chance to win every year is because they have the talent to do so. October hasn't been kind to them. But I also have to figure he's too good to not have a big postseason at some point. And by big, I mean put the team on his back and go out there and win series the way we have seen him win games and series during the regular season. So I still think, I really do I think the Yankees still have a great chance to win a championship this year. The Knick one, you got the superstar and Jalen Brunson. I agree with you. My only concern with saying that they're close as constituted right now, and I guess you can make the same case for what I'm about to say, is I still think, especially now with the new head coach coming in, assuming they pick someone that fits and molds and gels and makes it work, the Bucks still worry me coming out of the East. And this was a very odd first-round playoff series for them. I don't think Giannis was fully healthy. I don't. Maybe he was. I don't think he was. You bring in, maybe they bring in Nick Nurse. I don't know. But whoever they bring in, you've got to think is going to be better than Budenholzer. And I still think that team, depending upon what they do in the offseason, is still the team that you're going through. And I don't know that the Knicks have anybody yet to compete with Giannis, who's at full strength, is still, to me, one of the best players on the planet.
Yeah, and then that is a pretty fair assumption that team's going to be much better. I mean, they were a 1 seed. They ran into this buzzsaw Miami Heat team that is just unbelievable, the story that's going on. But I'm assuming that the Knicks are going to be better next year. I'm assuming that they're not going to bring back the same team. And if they do end up with someone like Damian Lillard, which could be a possibility, as he was chirping on Twitter about maybe finally getting traded. I mean, that team, to me, is essentially, I mean, they could be a favorite. They really could in the Eastern Conference, to come out of the Eastern Conference. So that's how close I think that they are if they're watching this postseason. Now in the West, this Knicks team running into the Nuggets, I think would have a really, really tough time.
Well, you saw what LeBron called them last night.
Yeah.
He said that's the best team in our 4 years we faced, to where and he's right. All the games are close, had chances to win them, and yet they were the ones making the big plays down the stretch, not the Lakers. And I'll tell you, and I know it's funny because Jokic had this 30-point triple-double. His passing, to me, is unbelievable for a guy his size. He had a couple of horrific possessions, but the 3 or the long 2, whatever the hell it was counted as, with 2:52 to go or something like that, with the shot clock winding down. I mean, it's absurd that he's that. He doesn't appear to be athletic, and yet has to be to make shots like he made last night. I don't know right now anybody matches up with the Nuggets, and I even mean the Heat too. I mean, you tell me on Miami who is dealing with Jokic.
Oh, it's impossible. I mean, Bam Adebayo is a big man who is a defender, but when you're talking about everything that Jokic does, I mean, it's going to be impossible. Nobody can. I mean, that's why he won back-to-back MVPs, and he averages a triple-double every single night in the playoffs. I mean, and nobody can deal with him.
And they're impactful. At least they have been in the postseason, impactful triple-doubles. Like, you can have a triple-double where you have 15 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, but at the end of the day, when you actually watch the game, it's all right, whatever. He played well, but these are monster triple doubles. It always seems like he's 30 plus. The rebounding numbers are through the roof. His passing is elite, especially for his size. He impacts a game like no one I've ever seen. And the more you watch him, and I forget who the ESPN reporter was that said wasn't aware of him.
Oh, Lisa Salters.
Right. Who had to interview, it's funny, had to interview him after the game last night.
She said, "Who are you again?"
He is something to see, though. And TV just showed that's the shot that I was talking about on television with 2:50 to go, I guess. And you know who I thought did a really good job on him last night was LeBron, who covered him a lot. But at the end of the day, you can only hold them back so much. Jamal Murray was really good. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in spots made plays. Michael, they are really good. And if they don't, as good as Miami's been, if they don't win the championship, I'll be stunned.
Yeah, I would agree. It's funny because we talk so much about these dynasties and the big three that get together in the NBA, and you got like the Heat win a couple of championships, and then we've seen the dynasties in the past with the Lakers and the Celtics. But the NBA, there are these teams that are very, very good and then have their year. The Toronto Raptors, the Dallas Mavericks, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Denver Nuggets. These teams that have not won either ever or in a very, very long time. This is the first time the Nuggets have ever made it to an NBA Finals. The Bucks obviously hadn't won since the 70s. So, but it's interesting because we always think about how the NBA is like it's the same teams and the superstars this and whatever.
Not anymore.
I mean, the Golden State Warriors, of course, had their run, but if the Nuggets end up winning, that's another one of those teams that just has been there, has been very good, and then had their year.
And now to come full circle, what do they all have that I think the Knicks now have?
A superstar
and Jalen Brunson.
Right, of course. Yeah, and they still need one more guy. And I don't know how good that guy has to be. I don't know if it has to be Luka Doncic or has to be Giannis or has to be even Damian Lillard. I mean, it'd be great if you could pry one of those guys away at some point to play with them. But just look at what the freaking Miami Heat are and all those guys.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if Tom Thibodeau can coach like Spoelstra can coach those guys. I don't know if I trust him as much as Eric Spoelstra.
To me, when I look at the Knicks, I would say their one glaring issue would be when I look at the way Miami has shot the ball from the outside, and I don't know statistically what it shows, but I will tell you, in big spots, they made big threes whenever needed. If the Knicks had a guy that was you felt really good about the ball in his hands beyond the arc in a big spot. I think that they're probably exactly where you need them to be because I love R.J. Barrett. He is a slasher. He's a driver. He's not a three-point shooter. Julius Randle can shoot the three. Streaky is all hell, but also the ball stops sometimes when it goes to him. Jalen Brunson can shoot the three, but you're looking, I know Fournier was supposed to be the guy.
Sure.
That's what that team, in my opinion, is missing, is that sharp shooter from the outside, which is what some of these teams do have.
Now, if you were given $100 to put on one of those four teams I just mentioned, Knicks, Jets, Mets, Yankees, to win the next championship, to me, I'm putting it on the Jets. I'm putting it on the Jets, and then the Knicks second.
That's a good one.
The Yankees third, the Mets fourth.
I would probably put the Mets 4 as well. I agree with that. No, maybe not. All right, I would go Jets, Yankees, and then give me a flip of a coin for Knicks and Mets.
Okay.
I'd probably go Mets first. Until I see what the Knicks do this offseason.
Yeah, I think they're gonna find that guy. Although
other people are looking for that guy too.
No, I know, but they're gonna find him. They have a ton of assets, and they've got guys that I think would be desirable. People look at R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle differently than we look at them.
Sure.
I think. I mean, if there are people willing to give James Harden and Kyrie Irving max contracts, someone will take Julius Randle.
Doesn't it
R.J.
feel
Barrett.
like, you bring up those two guys, doesn't it feel too like in the NBA, the changing of the guard is here?
Oh, yeah.
Like the Durants and I know Irving is not 40 years old, and I know that. But LeBron, whether he's on his way out next year, now, the year after, the end is near. It just seems like that era is kind of really on its way out, and this new wave of young, dynamic players is here.
Sure. Well, and Steph Curry, too, after they got eliminated by the Lakers. And they won last year, but that might be the last one.
Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.